People who have stories they want to share, but have not found a question relevant to them. What are your stories? I don't know who remembers, but after September 11th there was a celebrity fundraiser, and if you donated more than $100 you got to talk to a random celebrity. We could barely afford it at the time, but donated the $100 and they put Whoopi Goldberg on the line. She thanked us, said a few things, we mostly just smiled, and at the end she was wrapping it up and I said, "You are awesome as center square." And she laughed. One of my friends to this day periodically reminds me that I once made Whoopi Goldberg laugh, smiley face. I live in Maine. My brother is a hobbyist photographer, a really good one, in my opinion, so one Christmas he gave my girlfriend and I some nice prints of some photos he took of us. He threw in a few scratch tickets to fill out the gift bag. Lucky for us, we won $30,000 on one of the scratch tickets. We used most of it to pay off the interest on our student loans, but used the rest for a vacation to Ireland, a place my girlfriend and I always wanted to visit. It was amazing. Flash forward a few years, my brother, who lives in DC, has a new girlfriend. She spent a year studying abroad in Ireland back in college, so we chatted a bit about how much we both loved the country. The conversation moved on to something else, as conversations tend to do. However, someone pipes in later, "Hey Parker, did you know that brothers Giffel spent a year in Ireland?" "Oh yeah, we talked about that earlier, so cool." Now back on the subject of Ireland, we start discussing some of more obscure things we did on the trip. I bring up this stand-up comedy show we found one night, in the basement of some pub. Really small space, probably 20 people in the audience at most. Brother's girlfriend says that she had been to show there once, too. I start remembering some traits of the comedians. One was black Scottish dude, another was a young woman with the side of her head shaved. The MC was even funnier than the main acts. Her jaw drops, she remembers those same comedians, too. I'm thinking that it's way too much of a coincidence, so I look up the old event schedules to see if those same acts performed on multiple dates. Nope. Only once. What a crazy coincidence. My girlfriend and I were at the same 20-person basement comedy show as my brother's future girlfriend, in completely different country, on a trip that was funded by a scratch ticket from said brother. Pretty neat. When I, F44, was 18 years old I was traveling alone from the US to visit my parents who lived in Russia. My connecting flight in a super rough city, in the US, got cancelled. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I believe that there was a weather issue and all flights were grounded. It was very late at night. I was young and naive and had no idea what to do, and so I just stood in the airport looking lost and trying not to cry. A gentleman in a suit, probably in his mid to late 20s, possibly early 30s, noticed me looking distraught and realized it was because I was going to be stranded at the airport. He offered to help me find a hotel. He said he was on the phone with his travel agent and managed to find 2 rooms. Then he offered to share a cab with me. Looking back, it was so dangerous, but I got in the cab with this stranger and went to the motel. I had no cash, and this was a time before cabs took credit cards and before Uber. When we got to the hotel I tried to figure out a way to use my credit card to pay, but he just paid for the cab. Motel was a total shithole in a really rough area, but there were no other rooms because of the airport canceling flights. While we were checking in, a prostitute popped in the lobby and asked if we had any condoms. I was too dumb to be terrified. When I went to give the clerk my credit card for the room, this guy said no and paid for both rooms. He then asked me how I was going to get back to the airport in the morning, and I told him I would figure something out, but truthfully I had no idea as I had no way to get any cash. This man walked me to my door and did not even stop at the door, did not suggest drinks, did not suggest hanging out, didn't try anything. He continued to walk past my room and said over his shoulder, "Please make sure you lock the door." I am sure this motel was used to pay by the hour clientele, as in the morning the front desk called my room to tell me that my boyfriend had left an envelope for me. In the envelope was a $20 bill and a note that said, "Use this to get back to the airport." He never told me his last name or any way to find him after. He expected nothing from me. I have no idea who that man was, but I really wish I could find him and thank him. Thinking about this story has restored my faith in humanity many times in my life. What a good human. If this man is found, he will remember the city we were stuck in. My mom ran away from home once, and when she finally caved and called her parents to go back home, her dad sent her a bus ticket as punishment. She was in Florida and had to get back to Massachusetts. They stopped at a random bus station and my mom was sitting there alone but kept seeing this big guy staring at her. He finally approached her and asked her to go downstairs with him. Out of nowhere, this guy in a Navy uniform walked up to her and said, "There you are, let's go." He had seen the guy watching her and realized something was about to happen to her if he didn't intervene. He waited with her until she was safely on her next bus and even called her parents' house a week later to make sure she made it home okay. I don't think my mom would still be alive if it weren't for this man. Apparently girls had been going missing from bus stations in the area.